However, today we're going to be dealing with multiplication equations. Even though it's a different operation, we need to see, or rather we need to remember that the process for solving equations is the same regardless of what operation you're using. Our goal is still to isolate the variable. Regardless of whether you're doing addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, that is always your goal. You want to isolate the variable, meaning you want the variable to be all by itself. How are we going to isolate the variable? Well, we need to use the inverse or the opposite operation than the one that we're doing with the variable. And in this case, since we're dealing with multiplication, that operation, the opposite operation, is going to be division, because division is the opposite of multiplication. Let me explain. So here we have this simple example. We have 5 times x, or 5x, is equal to 30. 5 times x is equal to 30. As you can see, this is an equation because it has an equal sign. And the operation that I'm doing with the variable is multiplication. Remember that anytime I have a number right next to a variable and there's no symbol between them, that always means multiplication. All right, so 5 times something, x, will give us 30. Now, I know that most of you guys in your head would be like, well, Mr. Hugo, that has to be 6. 5 times 6 is equal to 30. But let's see how we would solve for that. Because again, this is a very simple problem, and there's going to be harder ones in the future that we won't be able to just do in our head. So again, we are given this equation. My goal is to isolate the variable. I want the variable to be all by itself. And here, I can see that the variable is here on the left side of the equation, not on the right side. Sometimes it will be on the right, but now here it's on the left. And again, I am multiplying. So if I want the variable to be all by itself, I need to get rid of this multiplication by 5. I need to get rid of this times 5. How do I get rid of a multiplication by 5? Well, let me do the opposite of multiplying by 5, which is to divide by 5. All right, because 5 divided by 5 is 1, so that cancels out. So now the variable is by itself. However, whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other. So 30 divided by 5 will give me the value of x. So here I can see that having divided both sides by 5, 30 divided by 5 is 6. So x has to equal to 6. And notice how that makes sense. 5 times 6 is equal to 30. So again, when you're given an equation, 5x is equal to 30. I am multiplying. So to isolate the variable, when I'm multiplying, I have to divide. So I'm going to divide by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1 times x is just equal to x. That's why there's an x by itself. But whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other. So 30 divided by 5 will give me 6, which gives me my final answer. X is equal to 6. That is essentially all of what we're doing today, ladies and gentlemen. It is a little bit different with fractions, but when we get to on the next video, where I go over the assignment, I will show you how to do this with fractions. So I hope this video was helpful, and I will see you in the next video.